name is Nick LaForce, and I'm here with Art Giser. And Art, you and I met, I believe, at the New Choices training with Leslie Cameron Bandler in the mid-'80s.
Oh my God, are we that old?
Yeah, I know, like 85, I think. And we hit it off. We had a great connection and started to develop a collaboration. And then in the early 90s, we had that great opportunity to teach NLP together and taught a practitioner class and a master class in the early 90s. And one thing I've loved about you over the years, Art, is your dedication to being on what I would call a quest for a spiritual awareness or a spiritual experience that you've transformed into this incredible field of energetic NLP. And it's just been a joy to watch this path that you've followed and where you've come to. And so I'm really happy to be here with you. And it's been great over the years. We've talked a few times about doing something together, and finally we're making it happen.
Yes.
So I'm happy to be here with you today.
You know, only it's taken us 14 years, whatever it is. But I'm glad it's happening now, and it's interesting. And this is Nick LaForce, and as Nick said, we've known each other since the 80s. And I have a group of friends that are friends. We first became friends because we respected each other's works, and then we got to be friends on top of it. And Nick is one of that small group of people that was a professional, somebody I admired professionally first and then was lucky enough to become personal friends with. And Nick has also always been on a quest, and his work as a transformational poet is really expanding his horizons. And for both of us, we both do corporate work and more business-oriented work. So neither of us are afraid to step way out of that box and do something different.
In fact, I think it's the fact that we step way out of that box that has really widened our field and opened us to possibilities that we wouldn't have considered if we had just been on the straight and narrow, so to speak.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is one of the things I think makes a quest, which is our topic tonight, so beautiful, is that a quest often isn't, in fact, rarely is a straight and narrow path that you follow. It's usually a kind of a wide open exploration and discovery process.
Well, the physicist Niels Bohr said something to the effect of, you know something's a deep or profound truth because the opposite is also likely to be true. And we've all been bombarded with have clear goals and have measurable steps, and the clearer your goals are, the better. And this isn't just in the business world, the spiritual world. We're constantly bombarded by this. And of course, that at the right time, that's wonderful. And sometimes it's what the opposite is the profound truth. And a woman who is also very spiritually inclined, and we used to do a lot of corporate work together, co-lead programs. And we were talking one time, and we were always teaching people in corporations how to set clear goals and make them happen.
Right.
And we were having dinner and going, you know, the best things in my life didn't go that way. That's not how they happened.
Exactly, yeah.
I discovered them. They evolved. I wasn't looking for them. And I went, well, that's funny. That's exactly the same for me. The very best things in my life weren't the goals I was shooting for. So, you know, what Nick and I are, and what was fascinating is Nick and I discovered recently here, we were both really so stressing the importance of this with people, that having both that when you have a clear goal, or when it makes sense to have a clear goal, and there's the make it can happen steps, that's great. But we live in a time that has completely demeaned the poetical aspects of life, the yearning, the quest.
Right, exactly, yeah. Yeah, in fact, I think the goal, when you have a goal, the way to achieve the goal is to control the world as much as possible.
Yes.
You want to get there, and to literally put on blinders, you know, like the horse running the race to the end. And that can accomplish amazing and great things, but it also begins to deny us the view of life, and to deny us oftentimes the opportunities that are coming to us that are really that touch our heart and that speak to our truth. And if we keep the blinders on and we never open ourselves up to hear or see those, we may actually end up living our life without having really lived our life, without having lived our authentic life. And that's why I love this idea of quest, because it really widens the view and opens the world to us in a way that goals don't.
Nick knows very well, too, one of my mentors, Michael LeBeau, who's not as well known now because he retired from NLP years ago, but really, really amazing. What I learned from him was phenomenal. And the first NLP class I took in 1983 was from him. And at the beginning class, he goes, I want you all to write down what you want to get out of this 10-day workshop. And we're writing and writing and writing and writing. And then when we're done, he goes, I want you to fold it up. I want you to put it away and forget about it. Because what I want you to get out of this workshop is what you don't even know to want yet.
Yes, that's beautiful.
And I was one of most of the room going, ooh. It's like I'm in the right place.
Right, exactly. It kind of reminds me, you may have heard of Maria Rainier Rilke, who wrote this. He's a poet, and he wrote a book called Letters to a Young Poet. A young poet was writing for his advice and feedback, and he wrote these letters, which got compiled into a book. And one of his most famous quotes in there is this quote about questions, where he urges this young poet not to try to answer a question too quickly, but instead, in fact, to live the question. He says, what really matters in life is that you live it. Only what you live really matters. He says, to live the question until you live it into an answer. And I think a lot of times, first of all, a goal is basically an answer we've created in advance. We've created the answer. And we've stopped questing then because now we're aiming for that. Whereas a quest, if you really take a question on, or you take on something you're searching for with sincerity, and you begin to live that, then you live that into an answer that could never, ever be decided or formed in advance. And I think a lot of the wisdom of the world comes from that kind of way of being in the world, that kind of experience.
Well, I think you can make a really good case that most of the really accomplished people that we admire, a percentage of them had clear goals and just went for it, but a lot of them, I mean, I'd say many more of them, their lives evolved. And
exactly.
What Nick and I want to be clear about is questing isn't just for huge, noble, endeavors. We want people to think of questing as something you can have as an everyday part of your life. And whether you're questing on this dramatic scale or a local scale, it will be phenomenally profound in your life, no matter what level you play it.
Right, exactly. In fact, a while back, there's an author, Philip Cosino. You may have heard of him. He wrote a book called The Art of Pilgrimage. And the idea in it is that everyday life can be a pilgrimage if you hold it in that space.
Wow.
You take that way of being on. And after I read his book, I wrote this poem called Sacred Relics, which I think captures a little bit of the quality of a quest. And for me, a lot of my quest over the past 15, 20 years, as I've been transforming myself into the transformational poet, has been to move from living from the head to living from the heart. And I think most of us in life, at least in our Western world, and particularly with a goal orientation, tend to live from the head and not from the heart. So this poem comes out of that, and I'll share it here with you and with the viewers. It's called Sacred Relics, and it's based on this book. I don't know when I lost my footing on the earth, or when I moved upstairs from the heart to the lofty places where ideas dance. I don't know how many steps I must take to make the pilgrimage back to the Holy Land. But I do know the longing for something that cannot be named, the missing of something unknown, as if the day calls me out to play. Because I was once eager to go outside. I once knocked on the doors of friends uninvited. I once moved in my body as if I belonged there. But here I am now in the middle of my life with duties to be done and chores to be completed, while the pilgrim comes, knocking on the door of my heart, bringing sacred relics of the life I have not yet lived, ready to take me even as I am, if I am willing to make my way down the stairs and open myself to life once again.
That's beautiful.
And I think that's where where we're at in our world right now. Is we need to have a path back to our heart and to live from the heart. And I think that's really, in a way, perhaps even our savior as we're going forward in this difficult time in the world.
Yeah. I so agree with what you're saying, and I want to point out to people in this teleworkshop, part of what we're going to be incorporating is principles and processes from NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. We're going to be using poetry because poetry, Nick will describe it much better than I can, but it is evocative. It does take people out of just logic and allows them to find a deeper, more spiritual logic and really open up to their heart and bring their heart and head together. And I think most of us who say any great poem, you don't typically go, oh, I know exactly what every line in that was about. There is intended to be some mystery so that you'll take a quest to understand it. And we're going to be using NLP, the transformational poetry, and some energetic processes. And in the energetic processes, I'll be leading those where we'll use energy processes to start clearing the programming, the blocks that tell us everything has to be logical and we can't trust our heart. We can't trust our spirit and our soul and our inner wisdom. And then we'll be doing processes to integrate more of your soul and inner wisdom and your spirit into every aspect of your life. And when your spirit and your inner wisdom are integrated into your life, we call that your miraculous self, your spirit and your wisdom working together. So it's going to be a packed about 70 minutes.
Exactly. And one of the really, I think, key features of that is learning to distinguish what's truly ours, what's our authentic desire or yearning, versus all the clutter we've gotten from the world or from the programming that we've received in life or from the agendas of others. And to quest successfully, you really need to learn how to make that distinction. And this is, I think, one of the key points we're going to be working with in our time together, and that you'll get out of joining us.
Oh, that well said. And both Nick and I have found that with ourselves and our participants and our clients, there's so much that we think are authentic goals. They're not. They're programmed in unconsciously, societally, and as you'll learn, they're even energetically programmed in. Right. And as people discover that, they can get in touch with their authentic heart's desires.
Right.
And use both their heart and their brain then to go through life in a way where, as the saying goes, the journey is the point of it. It isn't that of course you want to achieve in the end and be happy, successful, and bringing that quest into really manifesting things in your life.
Right. And it's, the great news is that it's not that it has to be an either or.
Right.
You can be on a quest and be pursuing goals that are maybe part of a bigger quest, which I believe, in fact, is how we move forward as a human presence in so many ways. If you think of philosophy and science and spirituality, they all really are a quest within which goals are pursued and accomplished that contribute to this larger question or this larger idea that each of those fields is about. So it really isn't that we're talking that you have to make a choice between the two. We just want to highlight the benefit and power of having this new way, or this other way of being in the world.
Yeah, if you think of the Vikings or Christopher Columbus, they didn't know what they were going to find. They did have really good people who knew how to sail and navigate. So we want to bring it all in there. And yet if they'd have known exactly how to get where they were going, they wouldn't have gotten anywhere near where they did get.
Exactly.
Well, so all the information is on this page, and it's free. We really invite you to sign up. You'll get registered, and then you'll get the link and the information about how to actually participate in the video webinar. And you'll also get the information in your welcome email that will tell you how to sign up to get the replay and or the downloads for free, so that you can, even if you miss the first broadcast, you can still do it. And often we find that people want to redo these workshops anyways, because each time you do it, you'll quest further. You'll get more out of it.
Exactly, yes.
So this is our gift to you, and we hope your gift to us will be you'll join us.
Exactly. And the nice thing is that Art and I are questing in a way. So we're discovering what kind of mindsets and skills are required to quest successfully. And we have come up with lots of great stuff. But we're also looking for your insights, and it'll be an interactive process. You can add to it. and help us on our quest as we help you on your quest.
Absolutely, well said.
So join us, please join us on Thursday, May.
Actually, I'd say read what it says on the page.
Yes.
That'll be the safest thing. We'll make sure we get it right.
Right. Okay, well, great talking with you tonight, Art, and I'm looking forward to our time together.
Me too. Thanks, Nick. And thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.